The African savanna is not fair, never has been. Yet it operates under a code that no species created, but everyone must learn. Jabari is still patrolling the Mara River banks. The boundary with the Nile crocodile remains, nameless but held firm. That boundary is more durable than any treaty, because it is carved by evolutionary pressure, not by conscious decision. One African buffalo is no stronger than one African lion. But 200 is always greater than one in every ecosystem at all times. No species calls the shots. Everyone just has to learn. 3 laws are written in nature's clearest language, woven from sacrifice and wisdom, passed down from one generation to the next. Sheer strength alone does not cut it on the savanna. The savanna rewards those who learn and know how to pass on what they have mastered. You have just witnessed the 3 laws of the African savanna, the law of boundaries. Kenya's Mara River, where the African lion and the Nile crocodile share hunting grounds without moving against each other, because both know exactly where the line is drawn. The law of the majority. Akagera, Rwanda, where 200 African buffaloes, surrounded and penned in a lioness and her cub, because an organized collective outmatches any single apex predator. The law of breakthrough. Selinda, Botswana, where 5 young lions did what no one thought possible, because they lacked the setbacks to make them hesitate. 3 lands, 3 laws, one species records it all, through sacrifice and wisdom across generations. This is the African savanna. This is where the journey of survival unfolds, driven by knowledge, accumulated and passed down through every generation. Survival of the fittest, by Darwin's true definition, is not about the strongest making it through. It is about the most adaptable, the fastest learner, the one who passes the torch to the next generation. If this episode showed you something you have never seen before, share it right away. Because the African savanna writes these laws every single day, and very few are watching. Subscribe so you do not miss the next full episode. The savanna is far from closing the book. The savanna predators are not done with their lessons. Dawn had just touched the tips of the acacia trees across the savanna. But beneath the amber sky, as it darkened, the hunt had already begun. In the tall grass to the west, golden shadows moved, pressing forward without making a single sound. The lionesses were not as powerful as the males, but they were more patient more rhythmically coordinated, and they understood a truth governing all life on the savannah. Patience is the very line that determines whether the outcome is a full feast or a prolonged hunger. Their pride coordination was so perfect there was not a single crack. One lioness lowered herself, belly pressed flat against the ground. Watching and waiting, another moved as a decoy, spreading wide on both flanks, just enough to draw a young animal. Into a moment of curiosity, dropping its guard. Watch this. The lead lioness burst out of the tall grass. What followed were a few seconds of pure chaos. Dust exploded in a blinding cloud. Roars tore through the silence. The entire pride surged in. Tearing at their prize, the young hippo fell. Before the hunt had begun, one creature had been silently watching everything from start to finish. On the branches of the trees, a fortress, darkness beyond the reach of any lion, a troop of baboons had long been awake. Their eyes swept across the savannah from above. The alpha male, at over 80 pounds, around 36 kilograms, his muscles rippling, stood on the highest rock outcrop. His canines were as long as those of a leopard. Yet the canines were not his most formidable weapon. Intelligence was what was truly extraordinary. Facial recognition, establishing political alliances, social strategies so sophisticated that scientists have called baboons creatures of Machiavellian intelligence, a Machiavellian mind. They possess intelligence equivalent to that of a human 3-year-old. A sharp bark split the dawn. It was the alarm call reserved exclusively for lions. Baboons have distinct alarm calls, one for leopard, another for eagle, and yet another for snake. Each predator is a unique acoustic frequency. The entire savannah instantly listens. Antelope stop grazing. Ostriches raise their heads. Zebras rotate their ears. A cascade effect spreads. A single call activates. Thousands of survival reflexes rippling across the grasslands. When baboons issue an alarm call, no creature on the ground dares ignore it. But today, the warning arrived too late for the oryx herd to the west. They had fallen beneath the claws of lions. A few hundred meters away, a herd of African ostriches was foraging right next to another antelope herd. This group was significantly safer. The closeness between these two species was no coincidence. This was a sensory alliance, a silent pact honed by evolution over millions of years. The ostrich possesses eyes up to 5 centimeters in diameter and remarkably larger than its own brain. The largest eyes of any land animal on Earth, holding a Guinness World Record. From its elevated vantage point at nearly 2.7 meters, the ostrich functions as a mobile watchtower of the savannah. Each eye is 5 times more acute than the human eye, scanning every smallest movement across the vast grasslands. But eyes larger than the brain means they see everything but comprehend very little. Ostrich detects movement, but cannot analyze the nature of the threat. Reaching maximum speed of nearly 72 kilometers per hour, the fastest two-legged creature, with great strides, yet fleeing remains their last resort. Together, they form a surveillance network through which no frequency, no movement can pass undetected. And there is a myth that people still firmly believe that ostriches bury their heads in sand. That is the oldest fabrication in all of natural history. They lower their heads to the ground only to reduce their profile, to avoid detection, or to turn eggs inside the nest. But the sounds that mark sovereignty are also an invitation to challenge. A howl echoed from far away, then a wild, spine-chilling laughter followed. A sound no one can ever forget. A piercing shriek was rising. A clan of spotted hyenas was converging from every direction. The clan was led by the largest female. In an absolutely matriarchal society, this is what most people get wrong. Spotted hyenas are not scavengers. They hunt 60 to 95% of their own food. The most enduringly efficient hunters across all of Africa. And here is the more astonishing truth. It is lions that regularly steal food from hyenas, not the other way around. Data from the Ngorongoro Hyena Project, through decades of observation, has confirmed this. But today, the hyena clan wanted to reclaim what was theirs. They surrounded a male lion feeding on a carcass. The male lion stood. A muscle mass of around 181 kilograms dominated them completely in physical form. The hyenas understood one law of survival: never confront a healthy male lion head-on, regardless of how large their numbers. Their tactic was harassment and patience. The hyena clan surged in within seconds, powerful jaws cracking bone, stripping the carcass clean, clearing every last scrap in just a few short minutes. On the savannah, nothing is wasted. Patience had defeated raw strength. At least for today. The hyena clan finished their meal. Bones remained shattered where they lay. The savannah fell silent once more. But the ground beneath it did not. A seismic tremor moved through the earth, at a frequency below the threshold of human hearing. Not an earthquake, not thunder. It was the call of the African elephant. The elephant herd crossed the grassland, each step pressing over 6 tons into the earth. Generating seismic waves that travel over 16 kilometers through rock and soil. The elephant's feet receive these vibrations. Seismic communication is a language that took humans decades to discover. Leading the elephant herd was the oldest female, the matriarch, the living memory of an entire family. Like the hyenas, elephant society follows strict matriarchal order. But unlike the hyenas, power here does not originate from canines or claws, but from memory. The matriarch remembers every water source, every migration route, every drought that lasted 60 years ago. In years of devastating drought, the survival of the entire herd depends entirely on the memory of this single individual. And the trunk is perhaps the most extraordinary organ that evolution has ever created, containing over 40,000 muscle bundles within a single structure. The entire human body possesses only 640 muscles. The elephant herd passed through, and the savannah transformed in the most literal sense of the word. They knocked down trees, clearing pathways, digging water holes that dozens of other species depend on. The greatest architects of Africa, no living creature dares block their path, not even the lion, which dozens of other species depend upon. The greatest architects of Africa. Not a single living creature dares block their path, not even a lion. On the savannah, every dawn is a new battle. Every creature is simultaneously a weapon and a target, both hunter and prey.